What's going on, everybody? So today's a special day for me. I wanted to get on here and let y'all know today is my 4-year anniversary to celebrate sobriety. 4 years ago today I was incarcerated. I was in a jail waiting on sentencing, had no idea what was in store for me. I was lost in the sauce, you know, and I I broke my arm in there wrestling with a guy, right? Just tussling, just for fun, horse playing. Shattered my humerus bone, well, broke it in half, but it was a bad break. And I broke my dominant arm in there, and I was miserable. I was in the worst state I've ever been in my entire life. I was the biggest I've ever been. I'm unhealthy, eating noodles, honey buns, you name it. And I didn't know when I was getting out of there, and I was lost. And you know, so something needed to change, but I didn't know what was going to allow me to change because I was so miserable in there. I thought the only way to cope was drugs and alcohol. Still, after about 8 months of being incarcerated. So what ended up happening was, while my arm was broken, I was still saving up Percocet that they were giving me for pain. I was taking it, hiding it under my tongue. When the nurse walked away, or when I was taking my meds in front of the nurse, I would hide it under my tongue, show her, walk away, spit it out, save 4 or 5 milligrams up at the end of the day, take them all at once. So I did that a couple times. What ended up happening was I sat down and played poker. We had about 25 milligrams of Percocet in my system, and I had a bad high. So I had a bad high, which caused me to get irritable, lose money. So I'm sitting at this poker table in jail around these guys with a broken right arm. I can count my cards and count chips with only my left hand. And something just, it was like a light flickered in my head. You know, I've always been a drug addict, a functioning drug addict. You know, I call myself, you know, maybe I like designer drugs, you know, pills. I've never got to like the point where I was, you know, shooting up, but I've still done drugs that you can shoot up. But I've always, you know, I never knew what it felt like to be sober. I couldn't imagine myself being sober. So I had a bad high. I sat there at the poker table, and it was like my life flashed before my eyes. And the next day, when the doctor in the jail called me down to the office to refill my subscription for Percocet, I told him he could keep it. I don't know what made me tell him that, because after my decision I was kind of like, why would I tell him that? I could have even sold them for money because the people in the pod go crazy over them. And I told him he could keep it. I didn't want it anymore. I'll be good with the ibuprofen. And he looked at me like, what? I'm giving you free drugs, man. How do you not? You're in jail. This is what people want while you're in here. I'm like, I get back to the pod. Everybody's like, what the? Why would you do that? You could have sold it to me and made a bag. You could have made a killing off of me. I didn't want it anymore, man. It's not what I wanted in my life anymore. Overnight. I mean, I think I just had this enlightenment, you know, take over overnight. That was just like, nah. Look what you're doing right now. Look what you're in here. You've been in here for 8 months. You have no clue when you're getting out. 2 years, 4 years, 5 years. You have no clue what's going to happen. And you're doing the same. You're 26 years old, 25 years old, and you're doing the same thing that just landed you in here. And this is what you're going to be doing the rest of your life. In and out of jail. This is your life. You're a loser. So that was my first step, is trying to stay sober while incarcerated. Putting away the jailhouse wine, saying no to cigarettes and weed when they can. Have cigarettes, it's not a drug, but I wanted to cut that out too and just be overall healthier. Cutting out everything, you know what I mean? Just living a healthy life. That's what I wanted to do, you know what I mean? So that's where it started, in jail. Once I got to prison, there was more drugs in prison. Said no. I worked out and I got through it. I told myself once I got out, Who knows how my brain is gonna operate? Am I gonna be like, nah, I need it. This is what I do. I drink and smoke. I party. This is me. But I took it day by day, and as I got out, once I got out, I was able to just conquer the day every day. You know what I mean? And now here I am, 2.5 years later, after I was released, and I know I'll never drink, smoke, do drugs again. You know what I mean? I've found other things in my life that fulfill that need. You know what I mean? And I don't need it. I don't want it. You know? And now just being able to say I'm sober, I've been sober, is so much more powerful than even, you know what I mean? That right there alone, just being able to say I'm sober, I'm like, holy did I do that? I really got sober. Something that I never in a million years thought I could do. You know, so the moral of the story is I'm just letting you know how it happened for me. I know everybody's path and journey and journey through sobriety is different. That's what it took me. A couple huge wake-up calls. I sat down and I said, everything bad that's ever happened in my life has happened under the influence. Most things, 90%. What if I cut this out? What are my possibilities, you know? What could I really do with my time if I didn't party, drink, smoke, do drugs, you know? What could I do? I wanted to find out. I'm finding out. You know what I mean? So, Ink on your life, always. It's the brand right here. If you ever need to reach out, got any questions on how, if you want to get sober and you need help doing it, I suggest you got to have a strong enough reason. I told myself a million times I wanted to get sober. Did I really want to get sober? Nah. It sounded good. I knew I needed to eventually. But if you ever need help getting sober, or you don't really know what to do, I suggest you find your reason for getting sober. I had a reason. My reason was, you know, I've done that my whole life. I'm like, yo, what are my possibilities here? Like, I'm spending all my time with this. What could happen if? And it was easier for me because I had a head start. You know what I mean? I was already incarcerated, so I was blessed to be incarcerated to get sober. No, I feel for the people who can't get sober out here. I don't think I ever would have. I'd be dead by now, I'm sure. Or I would have been incarcerated for a lot longer time than just a couple years for doing something crazier. But yeah, man, so if you ever need help, need some guidance, I'm all ears. You know what I mean? I'll give you the best I got, but I know everybody's journey is different. So that's how I got sober.